Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another Assassin's Creed Shadows build video. Today we're going to go with the pure poison build for Yasuke. Previously I had made a video that was a poison/bleed build. It was actually really fun, but I think that I had discovered this weird interaction that happened when you had poison and bleed on the same weapon, and then it bled enemies out instantly. But I think that was patched, at least from what I've been seeing just playing with this build again. I hadn't played since I finished the game, and I was done with all the builds that I had for the time being. But now that I'm back playing the game for the DLC, I was tinkering with this build, and it just kind of became a pure poison build. And honestly, in my opinion, this is the strongest Yasuke build, at least that I can come up with. And it's really everything you're gonna need for this. So one of the things that I changed, obviously, other than the fact that it's no longer incorporating bleed into this build, which makes it stronger because you lean into poison purely, and it's just for Yasuke and his kit and what he's got to play with as far as the gear and the engravings. It's just a crazy synergy that you can get from a lot of these engravings. So what I did is ditch the naginata, and then I incorporated a bow, because this game has a really nasty tendency to spawn ranged enemies behind you when you're engaging groups of enemies or it's just a single enemy. There will always be some, and I've actually seen this happen. Like, I've had my camera turned toward my character and I've seen enemies literally spawn behind me, ranged enemies. So yeah, it's not like they're present there. It's it's beside the point, because I'm not really here to talk about some of the things that I don't like about the way the game handles difficulty. But yeah, that's probably one of my least favorite things, is just when you're engaging enemies and there's ranged enemies spawning behind you. So what I did is ditch the naginata and incorporate a bow, and then we're leaning into poison with the bow as well. So it actually works out really well. So let's cut to the chase and go take a look at the build. So the center of this build, like I said, is the poison. And we have the lethal lotus petal katana that does poison buildup. And then the engraving is 50% chance to kill enemies below 2 health segments with poison. And then I put the engraving that's sheath attacks are postured and make enemy vulnerable. Okay, so with this, we're leaning into kind of like similar to the Naue build that I posted. That was my last build video that I posted for Shadows after the DLC, and we're leaning into posture and vulnerable damage. So we're doing we're just doing posture attacks here. So sheath attacks are postured and make enemy vulnerable. And so with the armor, we're going with the Crimson Scales armor. This one has a 3% chance to instantly kill with posture attacks. Now, I used this in my previous build with the poison bleed for Yasuke, and people were saying that 3% is just too little and it's not worthwhile. But I honestly see it happen all the time, and it's just, even if it only happened like actually 3% of the time, which in my experience it's more like 10% of the time, consistently I see it trigger. So even if it wasn't the case, I just find it more fun, for the play style. I do enjoy seeing the random enemy just die from one attack instantly. So that's why I use it. You're more than welcome to iterate on this and then just add your own preferred engraving. But the other engraving that I put on this is a 75% damage bonus, but reduces health by 25%. Honestly, I'm not ever really getting damaged, and if I do, Yasuke has so much health that it's kind of crazy anyway, so it's kind of whatever. But up to you if you want to do something. I do actually use mastery points to counteract this a little bit, but it's not terrible. It's also a pretty significant bonus for damage. Then for the trinket, we're going with 1% damage per unspent mastery point from Mascara's Vengeance, which is one of my staples. I basically never take it off. It's the best damage bonus in the game. So I have at 200 points unassigned. So then for the secondary engraving, we're doing trigger poison with posture attacks. And then what's really cool, and I kind of overlooked this because I hadn't really looked at all of the engravings that I had for Yasuke, but it was a major oversight on my first build, and it's this engraving, which is posture attacks have a 20% chance to hit twice. It actually makes it really fun because it happens pretty often. So you see that the animation is cool as well, and the damage that you can put out is kind of crazy. So to that, I just added the 50% damage from poison on afflicted enemies, and that just that is the core of the build. It's like the combination of engravings between all of these, which is crazy synergy if you think about it. And then for the bow, I just went with the last breath. It gives us the engraving that has the perk of special ammo instantly triggers its affliction on a headshot. And of course, we're using poison ammo, and then charged arrows automatically become posture shots. So we're doing that as well so that we can do a little bit more damage. And that is the gear that we're using. Now for the mastery points, I have a ton of mastery points. So, you might not, depending on how many points you have to spare, you might not be able to assign things the way that I have them, but this is what I have. So for the katana, we're going with the melee weapon bonus by 13%, and then more damage with melee weapons by 27, armor damage, I guess, by 27%. I could actually just unassign this. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna unassign that and then put it somewhere else. And because we don't really care about armor damage, because once we trigger the poison, it kind of bypasses armor anyway. And then increased damage with melee weapons by 13% is what we are going with for the global passives. This is super important for this, the sheathed attack. If you hold L1 and press R1 or R2, the katana will launch a stronger strike that can break the target's guard, and then they can become a posture attack by holding R1 or R2. And then this just does a little bit more damage, 30%. I didn't unlock the last one because I don't really care about the adrenaline chunk. This one is unlocked by default. It's very basic stuff here. We're not using anything from Naginata. We're not using anything from Kanabo. We are using from the Teppo Mastery. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of that too. We're just doing the bonuses for more ammo. And then from the Samurai skill tree, we're going with more damage per adrenaline chunk filled, 9%. And then we're going with the War Kick because I just really enjoy this. I didn't unlock the last one because it's 150% damage on enemy collisions. It's whatever. And then Vigor, so we have more adrenaline chunks. From the bow skill tree, we're going with larger quiver. So I don't know if the Teppo one might be just for Teppo, actually. Yeah, so we're gonna get rid of this. Yeah, this larger pouch. We're gonna get rid of that. And then we'll just keep the ones for the arrows. And then headshot damage, we can take it all the way up to 13. And this marksman shot. So basically when hitting the target's head with a posture shot, fire a second arrow by pressing R2. So we get 2 headshots, hopefully. And then this poison arrows. I'm not increasing the poison buildup with poison arrows because we're always aiming for headshots. So we don't care about buildup because we're using an engraving that gives us an instant affliction trigger on a headshot. So buildup is irrelevant for us. Then combat expert. Okay, so we're back at the long katana. So that's all the mastery points for the build. Now that's for the different weapons and the basic skill tree. Now from the knowledge rank, we are going with damage with posture attack, super important, 45%. damage with melee weapons by 45%, just flat damage by 30%, damage with abilities. I could do away with this because I don't really use abilities. Damage with affliction 60%, damage when hitting vulnerable enemies by 45%. That's also really, really important for this. And then HP, like I said, we're offsetting the negative effects from the engraving that we're using with the armor. So we're increasing it by 36%. So that gives us still a little bit over 50% of health as opposed to only 25%, you know, when all things are said and done. Then damage with headshots, probably just going to do the whole thing because I have points to spare. And then if I had to choose, probably put this on critical damage because I have the points to spare. I might reallocate these, we'll see. But I almost have the full amount needed to max this out, 27%. So 81% damage with critical hits. Not that we really need it, but that's what it is. And that is the build. I'm going to do a quick showcase as well. But yeah, that's the basic idea. The combat loop is pretty simple. It's just, you know, weaving in the posture attacks from the sheath attacks, and then you get either an instant death from the 3% chance to instantly kill with posture attacks, or you get the affliction to trigger poison with the posture attack, and then there's the 50% chance to kill enemies below 2 health segments with poison. So the posture attack does a bunch of damage because of all the posture damage that we have stacked. And usually if they don't die from either the instant kill or the initial damage, the burst of damage from the posture attack, they will start losing health. And then once they reach below 2 health segments, they're just going to die from poison. And so that's basically it. And then obviously the chance for the posture attacks to hit twice. So that is basically the combat loop, and then the bow to deal with the random annoying ranged enemy. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the build, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah!